At the beginning of the film, Violet Gates is attacked by her violent husband, Blake. After severely beating her, he hands her a revolver and orders her to shoot him. Violet, trembling and covered in blood, cries and presses her finger to the trigger. After a few years, Blake has died, and Violet and her 5-year-old son, Toby, have moved to Chicago. She currently aids abuse victims in her profession, which was influenced by her own painful experiences. She has also been using a dating app to communicate with Henry Campbell. For their first date, the two had made plans to meet in person. Jen, Violet's younger sister, comes to watch Toby as Violet gets ready for her date. Jen tells Violet that Henry won't be like Blake after helping her choose out a suitable attire. After that, Violet departs to meet Henry. Violet arrives at Palette, a restaurant in a high-rise building. She unintentionally runs into a man named Connor. She chooses to order a drink at the bar after Henry texts her to let her know he would be late. Before buying a glass of wine from the amiable bartender, Kara, soon later she is approached by a man named Richard, who thinks she is Diane, his blind date. The man apologizes after Violet informs him that they are not going on a blind date. Then they begin to converse. Violet observes Diane's obvious disappointment upon seeing Richard when she finally shows up. Following that, Violet is approached and flirted with by a man named Phil, who plays the piano at the restaurant. Kara tells him that Violet is waiting for someone to show up for a date. From then, Phil departs. Violet starts getting memes on her phone via the DG Drop app. She chooses to ignore it, but it reappears with an unbalanced automobile aiming at you. Then she turns to find Henry has just arrived. Violet considers it very nice when Henry gives her a hockey puck as a gift for her son. Everything appears to be going okay until Matt, their waiter, arrives and makes an overly dramatic attempt to impress them with his improvisational abilities. Violet keeps getting strange notifications on her phone. She presents it to Henry, who speculates that it's probably a hoax being played by someone in the restaurant, until the sender, known as the Dropper, uses Violet's name, which escalates the issue. Violet initially plans to ignore the messages, but after spotting a masked burglar with a gun inside her home via her home security cameras, she is compelled to reply. The Dropper then discloses that he can watch everything Violet does because her phone has been cloned. Violet discovers that the Dropper now controls every area of her home. She exits the restroom and approaches a group of prom girls for assistance. But the Dropper can hear all she says. She quickly discovers that there are bugs in the restroom and the bulb at her table. She is told by the Dropper to take the SD card out of Henry's camera. Then, in order to allow Henry to get up from the table and go look for her watch, she explores his luggage while he's looking for the watch and finds a camera inside, where she finds some paperwork pertaining to financial transactions and compromising photos of the mayor. Before Henry comes back, she stealthily removes the SD card. The Dropper orders her to trash the card, which she does after excused herself to the restroom. She then discovers a tiny vial of poison inside the paper towel dispenser. To murder Henry, the Dropper tells her to put it in his drink. He implies that Violet has before killed someone when she flatly refuses. She emerges from the restroom and begins scanning the restaurant in an attempt to identify the Dropper. When she confronts Connor once more, he responds that he is simply waiting for his sister. She also witnesses Diane calling Richard a loser and a jerk as she storms out on him. Violet sees Phil playing the piano as Matt takes their orders. She spots an opportunity and offers Matt a $20 bill with her address and the words "two hostages" written on it as a tip for Phil. After reading it, Phil goes to the pub, but his drink has been tampered with, and he soon begins to faint. The Dropper then gets in touch with Violet and informs her that what she did was incorrect. Through her security cameras, she sees the masked man assault, knocking Jen out. Henry thinks Violet is not genuinely engaged in the date because she keeps acting like she is preoccupied with Jen and Toby issues, which makes him think about leaving. Violet tries to convince Henry to stay by kissing him, but the Dropper is adamant that she keep him there. After suggesting that they have shots, she goes to the bar to get tequila, but she doesn't remember to pack her suitcase. Henry consequently notices her watch. Kara keeps a tight eye on Violet, feeling that something is wrong. Henry says he saw Violet's watch fall out of her pocketbook, but Violet tries to remain calm when she returns to the table. Violet tries to think of an apology and apologizes for the deceit. Violet immediately sneaks the poison into Henry's shot glass while he walks to the bar to get some limes. But Henry becomes suspicious when Kara claims Violet didn't even ask for limes. Violet stops Henry from taking the shot by splattering wine on his shirt. The dropper texts her as he stands up, telling her that wasn't a good idea. After seeing Connor once again, Violet believes he might be the dropper and is ready to confront him, but his sister appears, confirming that he is telling the truth. Kara approaches Violet and discreetly inquires if she needs assistance leaving Henry. Violet inquires about Connor's sister, but claims Henry isn't the issue. Richard had spent the entire evening at the same table as Kara, who claims to be a regular, but typically sits at a different one. She adds that Richard had been looking at Violet the entire time, which is presumably why Diane left. When Violet confronts Richard, she discovers that he is the dropper. He acknowledges poisoning Phil and collaborating with dishonest people associated with the mayor's administration. Violet was tricked into killing Henry, who is viewed as a rat for gathering evidence. The idea was to use security footage showing her poisoning the drink as proof that she was a widowed killer who lost it. It is revealed in a brief flashback that Violet did not kill Blake. When police sirens approached, he murdered him. When Henry gets back to the table, Violet hands him the tequila shot since she has no other option, and he takes it. Henry drinks it, then leaves. With a sense of victory, Richard begins to eat his dessert. During one of his phony apology dinners, Violet tells him that Blake used to eat the same dessert, panna cotta. She claims that she discovered how to recognize similar trends in men like Blake. She then confesses that she poisoned Richard's dessert while he was occupied with Henry, not Henry shot. Richard loses it and pulls a gun on Violet after realizing he's been drugged. Henry intervenes and takes the bullet for her as he shoots. Everyone flees in fear. Kara gets stabbed in the back while attempting to assist Violet. As Richard gives the disguised man the order to murder Jen and Toby, Violet takes the hockey puck Henry gave her and hurls it at the window, which is already broken. It breaks and Richard is sucked out to death by the air pressure. Henry catches Violet as she nearly falls as well. Henry, who is hurting from being shot, offers her his vehicle keys so she may drive home after they phone for assistance. In an attempt to get home quickly, Violet races through traffic and contacts Jen to let her know that the masked man is inside the house. When the masked man discovers Toby at home, he nearly shoots him, but Jen throws a piece of glass over his head and hides him. After pursuing them and grabbing Toby, the masked man is stabbed in the leg by Jen, who then hides with Toby. He shoots Jen in the chest after breaking in nonetheless. Violet shows up at that very moment. Violet begins to struggle with him. The man in the mask then removes it to expose his face. Toby rolls the pistol toward her with his toy car just as he's ready to take her down. After grabbing it and killing the masked man, Violet rushes to see how Toby and Jen, who is still alive, are doing. In the news report that follows, Richard's murderous scheme is revealed. While Henry is recuperating in the hospital, Violet pays him a visit and offers him some food. She starts receiving more drops on her phone all of a sudden, but it's just Jen playing tricks on her from across the hall. When Violet asks him if he would be up to it, Henry responds that he would absolutely love a dull second date,